So it's the next hadith we must do. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
وعن ابن عباس رضي الله تعالى عنهما قال جاء أعرابي إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال بما أعرف أنك نبي قال دعوت هذا الحق من هذه النخلة يشهد أني رسول الله فدعاه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فجعل ينزل من النخلة حتى ثبت إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ثم قال ارجع هذا فأسلم وصحبه.
Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala Rasulihil Kareem. We're still discussing the miracles of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Wa an ibn Abbas, narrating the authority of Ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma. So you normally when you say like Ibn Umar, Ibn Abbas, you say radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma. Why? Because you're making dua for the father and for the son. So for Hazrat Abbas and his son. So when you say an Ibn Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma, you're making dua for Umar and his son, right? So, عن ابن عباس رضي الله تعالى عنهما, right? The authority of Ibn Abbas رضي الله تعالى عنهما, قال جاء أعرابي إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. A Bedouin normally referred to somebody that lives out in the countryside, does not live in the village, etc. He came, قال بما أعرف أنك نبي. Okay, you claim you are a Nabi, you are claim you are a prophet, right? How? Bima, yeah, B is jar and ma is mausul. So in this context, it's like a question, right? Through what medium can I recognize that you are not the ordinary person, that you are somebody different? You have been sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قال إن دعوت هذا الإزق من هذا النخلة يشهد أني رسول الله. Okay, so Nabi Sallallahu said, if I call, right, this izqa is like a tree type of a thing. Yeah, this branch or this stem, right, from this tree. And yashhadu anni rasulullah. And it bears witness that I'm the messenger of Allah Ta'ala. So yeah, this is like a shart, and many times the jaza is ma'zuf. Like sometimes in English, if you say, go there, and you say, what you mean? You see what will happen. You'll get a punishment, etc. So the jaza is mahzuf, right? So what he's saying here is basically, then what will you do? If this tree comes here or this branch of this tree comes to me and bears witness that I'm the Prophet of Allah Ta'ala, will it be good enough for you? Right. فَدَعَاهُ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. Then Nabi Sam called the branch, right? Right. فَجَعَلَ يَنْزِلُ مِنَ النَّخْلَةِ. It came down from the tree. حتى سقط إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. And it came right to Rasulullah ثم قال ارجع. And then he said, okay, go back. فأسلم الأعرابي. Then the Arabi, when he saw this miracle, he accepted Islam. Rawahu Tirmidhi, Imam Tirmidhi narrates this riwayat, وصححه, and he declared it sahih. So the miracle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam here is that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam called the branch came, etc. Right to, he heeded the call, he heeded the instruction of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right, read the next riwayat. Right page.
رضي الله تعالى عنه قال جاء ذئب إلى راعي غنم وقال إن شاة طلبه الراعي حتى انتزعها منه.
Okay, so long one, so we just do line by line. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wa ana Abi Hurayrata, narrating the authority of Abu Hurairah, جاء ذئب إلى راعي غنم. Once a wolf came to a shepherd of some sheep, right? Right, راعي لسياء من قصة. فأخذ منه شاة, and he snatched, right, منها, right, from that flock, شاة, one sheep. And it happened such that the shepherd saw. فطلبه الراعي حتى انتزعها منه. So the shepherd sought it from him, right? He went after him حتى انتزعها منه, until he prized it loose from him. Right, carry on.
قال فصعد الذئب فلا تلي.
You got tallin or tilla'in? Tallin in your kitab, okay? So then obviously the wolf was disappointed. فَصَعِدَ الذِّئْبُ عَلَى تَلٍّ. He went up onto a small hillock, right?
فأقع واستكثر وقال
Right. فَأَقْعَى, this word also comes from the hadith. أَقْعَى يُقْعِي لَا تُقْعِكَ إِقْعَاءِ الْقَلْبِ. Right? You remember this word comes. Do not sit like, do not make your sajda like how a dog makes. أَقْعَى يُقْعِي. So it basically means, I'll do the details here. Sit on your tail, so to say. To sit on your, you know how a dog sits on his the posterior with the legs up like that, right? وَاسْتَنْفَرَ, and it spoke, right? Carry on.
قال قد عمدت إلى رزق ورزقني الله فأخذته.
Right. So he says, so now he spoke, he said, Amadtu ila rizqin razaqanihi Allahu. Akhadtuhu. Thumma intaza'ahu minni. He said, look, I went to the rizq. Amadtu intended, right, to rizq. Razaqanihi Allahu. That's razaqa. It's razaqa yarzuqu, right? Then you got the ya form, mutakallim, right? But you know that you get it, noon al wiqaya, sometimes that noon comes there to protect it, right? Otherwise you say, how will you say razak, razakai, right? So you bring that noon so that you can pronounce the ya. So razakani, and then the ha, you know when the ha comes after kasra or ya, then it is halate jarne, right? So so I went to this Altara, he apportioned it for me, he gave it for me, right? Then uh, right, then he said razakani, akhadtaha thumma intaza'tahu minni. You got akhadtaha? I took it. Okay, so I went to the I intended to read it. I took it. Then intaza'tahu minni. Then you took it away from me. You took my rizq away. Carry on.
قال الرجل تالله إن رأيت فاليوم ذئب كالنبي.
Right. So yeah, I'll give you the literal translation and then I will explain what it means. فقال الرجل, the person said, Tallah, by Allah, in ra'aytu, very I did not see kal yawm till today. Dhi'abun yatakallam, a wolf that speaks. So in other words, what he's saying, well, till today I never saw a wolf that can speak. First time I see a wolf that can speak, right? Yatakallam.
قال الذئب أعجب بهذا الرجل إن
Have you got the sakin on the kha?
صلاة
Right. So he said, oh, are you surprised? Are you surprised by the fact that I am a wolf that can speak, right? So he said, don't be surprised. أعجب من هذا, more strange, more unique in this. رجل في النخلات is a person between the date palms, right? بين الحرتين, between the two mountains, right? Right. He'll inform you, right? يخبركم, he informs you bima mada, what happened in the past, like stories of the past. وما هو كائن, and what will happen in the future بعدكم, after you.
قال فكان الرجل
Right. So this person, this shepherd, فكان رجل يهوديا, he was a Jew.
جاء إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فأخبره وأسلم.
Subhanallah. So فجاء, so this person, after he got this guidance, this rehnumai from the wolf, what he done? He went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فجاء إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فأخبره, informed him what transpired. وأسلم, in accept Islam.
فصدقه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ثم قال له صلى الله عليه وسلم
Right. فصدقه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam testified to the truthfulness of what he's saying. Like right, right.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إنها أمارات بين يدي الساعة.
Right. So Nabi sallallahu said, "Innaha amaratun bayna saati." These are signs that will happen before the final hour.
أوشك الرجل أن يخرج لا ينزل حتى يحدثه
Right.
صوته.
Right. He said this will happen. قد أوشك الرجل أن يخرج. A person, right, will have doubt whether he must come out. فلا يرجع, he will not return حتى يحدثه نعلاه, until his shoes speak to him. وصوته, and his wab, بما أحدث أهله بعده. But what his family done, بعده translates as after him, but yet means in his absence. What his family done. رواه في شرح السنة. Sharh Sunnah, the author narrates the scene in Sharh Sunnah. So yeah, so this is qad awshaka. Sorry, I translated this part wrong. It is close. You can say what? Qad awshaka, that a person will come out of his house, and he will not return until yuhadithuna alahu, until his shoes will tell him bima ahdath ahlu, what his family had done, right? Okay, this hadith is very interesting. There's a few things we want to discuss here. The first thing here, the the relevance of this hadith with the chapter is this, that the miracle of the wolf testifying in favor of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's the miracle, that a wolf spoke up and testified to the authenticity and the truthfulness of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? That's the first part. The second part, telling. Okay, so that's the relevance of the hadith. So just a bit of lughwi tahqiq and a bit of explanation. Telling. Dal is a mufrad of talul, which means like a hillock, something like that, like a bit of a high ground, right? So this wolf went to sit on a tell, right? There's it. Uh, فصعد الذئب على تل. He sat, just show him, is it sat on a high ground, right? Then the word أقأ يقئي, it means to sit like, literally, it means to sit like a dog. That's why it comes in the hadith, لا تقعي كإقعاء الكلب. That in your sajda, etc., don't sit like a dog. We sit like, we sit in, sorry, in tashahud position. You sit with your feet under your buttock, etc. You shouldn't sit like this in sajda, like this here. That's what it's saying. وَلَا تُقْعِي كَإِقْعَاءِ الْقَلْبِ. This will come in detail, inshallah, in your hadith books, and it will come in your fiqh. You'll do that, right? So, أَقْعَى يُقْعِي. So here they say in the Hasha, normally canines, predatory animals, they sit like that. They sit on their posterior. And obviously this is prohibited in the hadith. Don't sit like that. Well, one is person got a problem, you got the uzr, you got a valid reason, then he's sitting, sometimes legs so whatever. Was then you got was what's the word after that day? Yeah. The was tanfara. What you got there? Was tasfara, okay, man. Was tasfara. Okay, so I translated that wrong there. Wastanthara means to, I told you to make a noise, but what it actually means is to sit on the posterior with the tail coming out at the back. So you're not sitting on the tail. Understood? Like you see a dog sitting, right? So just remember to correct that thing, please. So then this the what you call it, the wolf spoke, and it was a miracle of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, nakhalatun is interesting, this word here. Why is interesting? That we know in Medina there's a lot of date palms. That's why it's called the place of date palms, right? Now, there was another hadith, there's another hadith you'll do also, that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says in the hadith that I was shown the place where I will make hijrah to. So it's mentioned, you do it, it comes in the back, the latter part of Mishkaat or something like that. And I was shown, so it was three places I remember this hadith. We came across the hadith. I was shown a place where there's date palms, and I think there's another place in Bahrain, modern day Bahrain. And then I chose the place where the date palms are. So Nabi was shown a vision of Medina before he even went to Medina, and it was represented as a place of date palms. So Nakhalatun. So that shows you that Medina was actually famous for its date palms, right? So that's why we said Nakhalatun, right? Harrataini. We know that Medina is like between the mountains, between the two mountains. So it's referred to the date grove, the oasis between the two mountains. So what it means, ardu dhati hijaratin aswad, right? So now the next part is important. Yeah, the right between the stones. Look at the next part. بما مضى أي بما سبق من خبر الأولين ممن قبلكم. So what when the wolf said here, if you look at the literal translation, he informed you with that which has passed and that which will be happening in the future. Are you with me? Now, here the author discussed something important, that we as the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we believe only Allah Ta'ala has absolute knowledge of the total unseen, right? Are you with me? Yes, Allah Ta'ala has given bits of information to different people, and obviously Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has the most information. There are certain sects that claim that Nabi Sallam was also alimul ghaib. He had absolute knowledge of the unseen. That is not correct. We believe, if you believe anybody else has absolute knowledge of the unseen, like Allah Ta'ala has absolute knowledge of the unseen, that is shirk fi sifat, that the sifat of Allah Ta'ala you're attributing to besides Allah Ta'ala. So only Allah Ta'ala has absolute knowledge of whatever happened in the past and happened in the future. So there are certain sects that they have this belief that Allah Ta'ala Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has absolute knowledge, right, of whatever happened in the past, whatever happened in the future. We say no. We say no, only Allah Ta'ala has that knowledge. Yes, Allah Ta'ala had given Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam a lot of knowledge of the unseen, etc., but not absolute knowledge like Allah Ta'ala has. So the reason why we bring this up, that some people tell use this text and see here's a proof. Even the whole said that Nabi Sallallahu knows what happened in the past and what happened in the future. So we say it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had absolute knowledge of what happened in the past and in the future. What it basically means is like in the Quran, Allah things that will happen in the past, what happened to Musa alayhi salam, what happened to Isa alayhi salam, etc., etc. So that is what is mean bima mada. What happened to the previous ummahs, bima huwa ka'inun, like how we do, we kitabul fitan, kitabul malahim, that this will happen before Qiyamah, that will happen, etc. Right? And as a miracle. So the true meaning of alimul ghaib, having absolute knowledge, is when you have the knowledge without means. Look, Allah Ta'ala, nobody had to form Allah Ta'ala what will happen. And this is another proof why we say Nabi Sallam is not alimul ghaib. That look here, whatever information Nabi Sallam got, it is through the medium of wahi, right? So it is obtaining it from somebody else. You understand what I'm saying? So it is not alimul ghaib. There's a distinct difference between being alimul ghaib, having absolute knowledge, and getting it through somebody else. Are you with me? Because Allah Ta'ala, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi instructed clearly in Quran, "Qul la aqulu lakum indi a'lamul ghaib," that I do not have absolute knowledge of the unseen. So, can we use the ambiguous word of the wolf to say Allah, Nabi Sallallahu had absolute knowledge of the unseen, when Allah Ta'ala clearly says, instructs Nabi Sallallahu in the Quran, don't say I have absolute, or say that I do not have absolute knowledge of the unseen. Are you with me? So, okay, the main thing was the miracle of Nabi Sallallahu. Then, here at the end is quite interesting also. See, Nabi Sallallahu said that these are the signs of Qiyamah, the things that don't normally speak, the things that don't give information, they will give information, like how the wolf gave information with regards to who? With regards to Nabi Sallallahu. Then look at the last part. قَدْ أَوْشَكَ الرَّجُلُ أَن يَخْرُجْ. A person will come close, he'll come out of his house, but he will not return except that his shoes will tell him and his work will tell him what his family done after him. Can't this be a reference to modern technology? Nowadays you get shoes, you get a watch, it will calculate your steps, it will tell you how many steps you took, where you walked, etc. What about like CCTVs, cameras, etc.? It will tell you what happened in your absence. So I'm not saying it means that, but it could refer to that. Nowadays you get, I don't know if you get this computer systems, the Siri, not Siri. You tell it thing, do this, do that, put on the microwave, make me a meal, what's the weather tomorrow, all that type of things. Or they all give you information, they talk to you, right? It could be a reference to the technology that's happening. Or maybe it is in the literal sense that Allah Ta'ala أنتقنا الله الذي أنتق كل شيء. The one Allah Ta'ala makes it speak, the one who made everything speak. So You can take it on a base level to mean things that will not that, that does not usually speak or have the ability to speak. It does not start speaking, or like on the technological level, things will give you information of what is happening, etc., etc. Okay, read the next riwayat. Anyway, that right. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وعن أبي العلاء أن سمرة بن جندب قال كنا مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم نتداول من قصعة من غدوة يقول غدوة نه what is called غدوة حتى الليل يقوم عشرة ويقعد عشرة قلنا فما كانت تمد قال من أي شيء تعجب ما كانت تمد إلا من ها هنا وأشار بيده إلى السماء رواه الترمذي والدارمي. This hadith here is also one of the miracles of Rasulullah. It could be maybe that this hadith is making reference to one of the incidents we discussed earlier. Let me just translate it. We can see we can look at the explanation. Narrate the authority of Ala, Abi Ala, and he narrates from Samarat ibn Jundub. He says, we were with Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Tadawala yatadawala means like you can say we were taking turns, right? We were taking turns. Min qas'atin. Qas'atin refers to a big plate we're eating, right? Min ghudwatin. You got from ghudwa would mean, yeah, you can say we were all eating together, or like we're taking turns, right? From the platter from the morning till the night. We were eating, right? From one platter. So yaqumu ashratun, 10 people will come, they will sit and eat. Right? Yeah, right. وَيَقُدُ عَشْرٍ, 10 would eat, 10 would sit and eat, 10 would go up, 10 like that, 10, 10 all the time. So قُلْنَا فَمَا كَانَتْ تُمَدُّ. So the Sahabi says, how is it possible that from the morning till night, 10 people at a time were eating from one platter? They say, قُلْنَا فَمَا كَانَتْ تُمَدُّ. So from what were you being sustained? Or from what were you being assisted with this continuous flow of food? So قال, in other words, he said, من أي شيء تعجب. So what are you being surprised at? من أي شيء تعجب. ما كانت تمد. We were not being sustained. We were not being fed. إلا من ها هنا, from here. And he lifted his hand to the sky. وأشار بيده إلى السماء. He indicated with his hands to the sky. رواه الترمذي والدارمي. Imam Tirmidhi and Imam Darimi narrates this particular right. In other words, what he's saying is, the Quran, he says, وَفِي السَّمَاءِ رِزْقُكُمْ وَمَا تُوعَدُونَ, that this thing was being divinely sustained. It was being divinely filled up every time. So that is the miracle that so many people from the morning till the evening, 10 after 10, 10 after 10 were coming and eating from there. Look at the word, natadawalu. Natadawalu min qas'atin, like to come after each other. So from the morning till the evening, we were all gathering around one utensil. So that this person who asked here, this was a tabi, he asked, now how is this possible, right? So to maddu is like you can say you are being assisted. Where was the extra food coming from? And then the Sahabi said, وَفِي السَّمَاءِ رِزْقُكُمْ وَمَا تُوعَدُونَ. So this question and answer here was between who? The Tabi'i and the Sahabi. Abi Ala is asking Samurat ibn Jumbud. You understood that? قال من أي شيء. So he's saying, فَمَا كَانَتْ تُمَدُّ. That is the Tabi who is asking the Sahabi. How is it possible that you all could eat continuously from one utensil? You understood that? Right? So because this happened in the time of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, whilst they were with Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, this miracle is attributed to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Read the next one.
وعن عبد الله بن عمرو أبي موسى عن خرج يوم بدر في 300 قال اللهم إنهم فات فاحملهم اللهم إنهم رجل فاكسهم اللهم إنهم جزاء فأشبههم فتح الله له فانقلبوا وما منهم رجل إلا وقد رجع بحمل أو
No, بجمل.
اكتسوا وشبعوا.
You got waqtasaw. Right. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وعن عبد الله بن عمر narrating authority of Abdullah ibn Amr أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم خرج يوم بدر, that Nabi صلى الله عليه وسلم went out to the day of Badr. Remember, these Sahaba Ikram, they were only going for the caravan to break the economic might of the Quraysh, right? He came out في 315 with regards to about 315 with 315 people. And we know we discussed in the other riwayat how fervent Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was in his dua that, Ya Allah, if these people are destroyed, there will be nobody to worship you after this, etc. To such an extent that as Abu Bakr even felt sorry for Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, said, enough now, you've made dua, I'm sure Allah Ta'ala will answer dua. So from amongst the du'as, Allahumma innahum hufatun, Allah Ta'ala, they are barefooted, they're without conveyance. فأحملهم. So uh, give them ahmil, carry them. That is what it means. Let them is carry them. Ahmil, carry. What do you mean carry? Give them a conveyance that will carry them. Allahumma innam uratun. Ya Allah Ta'ala, they are scantily clothes. They don't have even proper clothes. They don't have armor. Faksuhum. You give them to wear. Make them wear. Allahumma innahum ya'un. Oh Allah Ta'ala, they are hungry. فأشبعهم. Feed them, make them full. فَفَتَحَ اللَّهُ لَهُ. So Allah Ta'ala opened up. فَانْقَلَبُوا, and they returned. وَمَا مِنْهُمْ رَجُلٌ. They returned from Badr in this condition that there was not a single person, right? Except that everyone returned. إِلَّا وَقَدْ رَجَعَ بِجَمَلٍ. With the booty, he came with either one camel, or jamalaini, or two camels. وَاقْتَسَوْا, they were given. You got any taharakat in your own? Iqtasa means to be. They were given clothes to wear. Iqtasa, literal will translate, the understood translation, they were given clothes to wear. Washabi'u, and they were satiated, their stomachs were full. Rawahu Abu Dawud. Abu Dawud narrates this particularly right. So, just one, two things here. The hadith is pretty simple, that we had 313 people, or 314. Here they say that certain riwayat you see, it's famous that the Sahaba Ikram were 313. Some riwayat say 315. Some gives other numbers. Easy correlation between the two is this here. One is, I discussed this several times with you. This is a generic answer. If you get in the exams that this riwayat says so much and this riwayat says so much, outwardly seem contradictory, a simple answer for that is what? Simple answer is that you say that, the Arabs, they did like to make hazaf of the kasr. Like how you done in school, rounding off to the nearest 5, rounding off to the nearest 10, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, they were just rounding it off. Another explanation could be also is like that number that speaks about 313, that are the fighters. Besides him, there might have been some khuddam, servants, people looking after the camels, all that stuff. You understand, Lukman? So wherever you see this different in numbers, you can, and you ask why. You found that word? So it has a majhul, even the ma'aruf has a majhul meaning, right? Waqtasaw means to be closed, right? So remember that's some of the generic answers you can give whenever you give contradictory, not contradictory, supposedly contradictory numbers in the hadith, right? Hufatun is the jama of hafi. Hafa, yahfi, hafi, to be barefooted. And it's also one, like how you say iktasaw is a ma'ruf. The ma'ruf scale also has a majhul meaning, right? Work, right? Hafi. That's why, the famous saint was called Bishr al-Hafi, the barefooted saint. Why was he barefooted? He said that he was first a wayward person, but then he turned to Allah Ta'ala and he said, what's it verse? وَالْأَرْضَ مَدَدْنَاهَا. No, what is it? What verse it says? And the earth we made out of. وَالسَّمَاء what it was, it says, we've made the earth into our carpet. We said, this is the carpet of Allah Ta'ala. How can I walk with my shoes on it? So from then he walked barefooted, right? So hafa yahfi hafin, that's also yaman qusa with alif lam, the ya will come back, etc. Right? So hafin hufatun. Then uratun, they are naked. Arin, araya, ari, arin, uratun, there's a plural there. Jia'un, it's all means hungry. The wahid is ja'i'un. What is the wahid? Ja'i'un, and the person jia'un. Anyway, the miracle that is discussed here is that you got 313 people who are ill-equipped. Ill-equipped. They were not prepared for battle, but they took over 1,000 men who were heavily armed. How you say in English? They were armed to the teeth, right? And obviously, the fact that there's no logical explanation except that there was divine assistance. And obviously, this is also discussed in the Quran that Allah Ta'ala sent the angels down. So that is the miracle, right? That is the relevance of the hadith. Read the next one, inshallah. She, read. Right. وعن ابن مسعود, narrating the authority of Ibn Mas'ud, Ar-Rasulillahi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he in turn narrates from Rasul, Innakum mansurun. The Wisdom is saying, you people will definitely be assisted. Musibuna. Asaba yusib means to obtain things. You'll obtain a lot of things, right? Wa maftuhun lakum. And things will be opened up for you people. فَمَنْ أَدْرَكَ ذَلِكَ مِنْكُمْ. So when things start opening up for you people, right? فَمَنْ أَدْرَكَ ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَّقِ اللَّهِ. Right? Here Allah Ta'ala always وَلْيَعْمُرُ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, command with good, وَلْيَنْهَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ, and prohibit from evil. Rawahu Abu Dawud. Abu Dawud narrates this particular riwayat. So, إِنَّكُمْ مَنْصُورُونَ. Marika, I told you, you've got Sahaba Ikram that are living in the middle of the desert. They hardly have clothes to wear and they hardly have food to eat. But it's being said to them here, don't worry. Allah Ta'ala will give you a lot of victories. You will conquer many, many, many different lands. So, honest, you know, power, etc., you know, that you have to implement this power. But under you, the back foot, you are the back foot, you are the underdog, so to say. Like underdog means the one is that has less resources. You are on the back foot, but despite this, Nabi Sallallahu saying, you will have many, many victories. Mansurun, right? Musibuna, asaba yusibu means to get something, to obtain. That's why also if somebody speaks the truth, or somebody says, we say asabta. No, you are right, you got it right, right? So musibuna, you will get a lot of booty. So what Nabi Sallallahu is saying, look here, you are currently under difficult circumstances, but Allah Ta'ala is going to open up things for you. Allah Ta'ala is going to open up things for you. So Allah Ta'ala will open up for you, but do not forget Allah Ta'ala. Unfortunately, that is the situation when we are in the difficult circumstances, then we turn to Allah Ta'ala. But the moment things open up, now we forget Allah Ta'ala. So don't forget Allah Ta'ala. So he says, فَلْيَتَّقِ اللَّهِ. Even when things open up of the dunya, right? Fear Allah Ta'ala. وَلْيَأْمُرُ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, and command with good. وَلْيَنْهَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ, and prohibit evil, right? So this is the you can say this is the one of the ways that will ensure your survival. This is the one that despite things being opened up before you, wealth flowing in, etc., you have to continue commanding with good, and you have to continue prohibiting with evil. Yeah, I told you this, the Shareef here, he's a very pro-jihad person. He says the highest form of Amr bil Ma'ruf, and it makes, and he says the greatest form of Amr bil Ma'ruf. Nowadays, when we speak about Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy al Munkar, we think maybe only going in Jamaat, etc. But he says the highest form of Amr bil Ma'ruf, The highest form of commanding good and prohibiting evil is jihad. It is going in jihad. And he quotes here Shah Abdul Qadir, Imam Fakhruddin Razi, Allama Jassas. He says all of them say that the highest form of Amr bil Ma'ruf is what is jihad. Because isn't when you go to a foreign land, people are steeped in kufr, and you tell them, look here, become Muslim like us. If you become Muslim like us, you enjoy the same benefits as the Muslims. You eat the same food, you pay the same taxes, everything. But if you do not want to do that, then you must pay the jizya. And if you don't accept to pay the jizya, what will happen? There will be jihad. So commanding them to become a Muslim, isn't that the greatest form of jihad? That's why Nabi Sallallahu said in the hadith, Man ra'a minkum munkaran falyughayyiru biyadihi, fa in lam yasta'tif biqalbihi, wa in lam yasta'tif bilisanihi, wa dhalika adhafu al-iman. So the greatest jihad that a person can engage in, right, is actually what? In jihad. Is to whatever we do today, it is secondary forms of jihad, right? Or rather secondary forms of um, Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar. Okay, we want to switch over. I see Manazim is here already. Okay, let's switch over to the tafsir, inshallah. Safe.